Books shatter across the cafeteria floor. A tray flips, food splattering like paint against polished tile. The laughter is instant, cruel, echoing off the glass walls of Crestwood Academy. Phones shoot up, red dots glowing like hungry eyes. In the middle of it all sits Sophia Whitmore, her wheelchair jammed hard against a table leg, her crutch ripped from the side and held high like a trophy. Her blue dress clings damp with spilled juice, her books sliding under the weight of a bully sneaker. "Careful, princess," Jason Miller sneers, holding her crutch aloft as if it's a sword. "Daddy's money can't help you walk straight, can it?" The cafeteria erupts. Cruel chants slice through the air. Weak, weak, weak. Kids bang, trays against tables, the sound building like a war drum. Sophia's pale fingers clutch her lap, trembling. Her face burns red, but she doesn't cry. Not yet. She bites the inside of her cheek until it bleeds. At the far corner, Malik Johnson rises slowly, his lunch untouched, his eyes burning steady under the cafeteria lights. His jaw clenches, his dark hand flexing open and closed. For weeks, months even, he's watched this cruelty. He's watched Sophia suffer in silence, her voice drowned beneath privilege and mockery. Malik was invisible here too, scholarship boy. They called him the charity case. His shoes were scuffed, his backpack patched, his clothes simple. He ate the same rice and beans every day. They laughed at him too, but quieter, because Malik's silence unsettled them. But tonight, silence is gone. Jason laughs as Malik steps forward. "Oh, look, the broke boy's coming. You're a bodyguard now? What are you going to do? Patch your dress." The crowd howls. Connor waves Sophia's crutch higher. Bryce, phone raised, shouts, "This is going to be good. Fight, fight, fight." The chant spreads like wildfire. Fight, fight, fight. Sophia's breath hitches. She shakes her head at Malik, her voice barely a whisper. "Don't. Please don't." But Malik doesn't stop. He remembers his grandfather's voice. Master Elijah Johnson, the man who raised him after his father vanished. Nights in the cracked dojo, sweat dripping on wooden floors, discipline hammered into his bones. Strength isn't for pride, Malik. It's for protecting the ones who can't fight back. Never swing first, but never bow to cruelty. Jason lunges, swinging Sophia's crutch like a bat. Phones tilt, ready to capture Malik's fall. But Malik doesn't fall. He sidesteps. Graceful, sharp, controlled. One hand grabs the crutch, twists, and in a blur Jason crashes into the table with a metallic clang. Gas erupt. Juice spills again, this time across Jason's designer sneakers. The cafeteria freezes. Malik stands calm, Sophia's crutch steady in his hands. He doesn't gloat, doesn't smirk. He simply plants it back at her side, his eyes never leaving Jason's. Connor growls, "You're dead, charity boy." He charges, a blur of fists and rage. But Malik's movements are water, redirecting, deflecting. Connor flips over Malik's shoulder, landing flat on his back with a bone-shaking thud. The cafeteria explodes. Screams, gasps, phones trembling in sweaty hands. Sophia stares, wide-eyed, her chest heaving. For the first time, she doesn't feel small. She feels protected. Jason scrambles up, red-faced, fists trembling. He points at Malik, spitting rage. "You think you're tough? You're nothing here." But the cafeteria isn't chanting Jason's name anymore. Whispers ripple. "Did you see that? He didn't even hit them." Phone's record. Hashtag spark in the air like lightning waiting to strike. Sophia grips the side of her chair, eyes wet but fierce. She whispers the words she never thought she'd say out loud. He's not afraid of them. And in that moment, the tide turns. The bullies don't know it yet, but the cafeteria just crowned a new kind of strength, one they can't break. The cafeteria is silent, but not calm. Silence here is a storm waiting to explode. Jason's face burns crimson, his pride ripped apart in front of hundreds of watching eyes. Connor groans on the floor. Bryce grips his phone tighter, recording every second. Jason slams his fist into the table, the metallic clang slicing through the hush. "Don't you cheer for him," he snarls at the crowd. His voice cracks with rage. "He's nothing. He's a beggar in this school, a A charity project? But no one laughs. The tide has shifted. The students who once cheered his cruelty now watch Malik with something else: curiosity, respect, even awe. Jason sees it, and it terrifies him. He lunges. The cafeteria gasps. His fist arcs like a hammer toward Malik's jaw. Phones zoom closer, hungry to capture blood. But Malik isn't there. His body bends like water, sliding aside. Jason's momentum betrays him. Malik guides his arm with nothing more than a twist of his wrist, redirecting him straight into the metal frame of a chair. The impact rattles the room. "Get up," Bryce shouts, voice shaky, phone trembling. "Get him, Jason." Connor staggers upright, his pride more bruised than his ribs. He snarls like an animal, charging with all his weight. His shoe skids on spilled juice, his body slamming forward recklessly. Malik pivots. Calm, precise. A simple turn of his hips, a redirection of force. Connor's bulk flips over his own legs and crashes flat on his back again. The crowd explodes. Some scream in disbelief. Others gasp. Some even clap. "Did you see that?" echoes through the cafeteria. "He didn't even punch him." Sophia's chest rises and falls like thunder. Her fingers tremble on the edge of her chair, her eyes wide. She's seen cruelty all her life. Stares, whispers, humiliation. But she's never seen anyone stand for her. Not like this. Jason scrambles up, fury twisting his face. His perfect hair is disheveled, his shirt clinging with juice. He points a trembling finger at Malik. "You think you're a hero? You think this makes you special?" He spits on the ground. "You're trash. You don't belong here." Malik doesn't move. His shoulders are squared, his eyes steady, his breathing calm. The voice of his grandfather hums in his memory, echoing louder than Jason's rage. Discipline is the shield. Control is the sword. You never fight for ego, Malik. You fight to protect. Jason roars. He charges again, fists flying wild. Malik slips past every swing, redirecting him with the grace of a dancer, the precision of a soldier. To the crowd, it looks like magic. To Malik, it's just training, discipline drilled into his bones in that cracked old dojo. Jason's fists grow slower, sloppier, desperation breaking him down. Finally, with one last shove, Malik guides him straight into the cafeteria wall. Jason's breath explodes from his lungs. His knees buckle. His pride crumbles. The room is shaking now, not with fear, with realization. Sophia's voice, soft but sharp, slices through the chaos. "Stop!" All eyes swing to her. She grips her chair's wheels, her voice trembling but strong. "He doesn't have to fight you. You're already beaten." The cafeteria gasps. Phones tilt from Malik to Sophia. Her cheeks are flushed, her hair damp with spilled juice, but her eyes blaze. For the first time, Sophia isn't silent. For the first time, she's not hiding. Jason snarls, stumbling back toward her. "Shut up, cripple." The word slashes like a blade. Sophia flinches, her lip quivering. But before Jason can take another step, Malik is there. Not striking, not shoving, just standing between them, a wall of calm fury. "Say it again," Malik says, his voice low, steady, dangerous. The cafeteria hushes. His tone isn't loud, but it cuts deeper than Jason screams. Jason falters. His mouth opens, but no sound comes. For the first time in Crestwood Academy, Jason Miller looks small. The crowd erupts, not in chants of fight, but in something new. Justice. 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 Phones flash. Hashtags bloom in the air like sparks. Sophia grips her crutch, her eyes wet, her chest heaving. She whispers, barely audible, but the words hit Malik like lightning. "Thank you." Jason staggers back, trembling with rage, but the cafeteria has turned against him. His power, the crowd's laughter, their cheers, their silence, has been stolen. And it's been given to Malik. In that moment, Malik doesn't just stand for Sophia. He stands for every kid who's been shoved, mocked, laughed at. He stands for himself. And Crestwood Academy will never forget it. The cafeteria doors slammed open with a force that made the entire crowd flinch. Heels clicked sharp against the polished floor. Vice Principal Sinclair stormed in, her expression carved from stone. Behind her trailed two teachers, their eyes darting nervously between the chaos and the phones still recording. What is going on here? Sinclair's voice cracked like a whip. The chants died instantly. Students shoved their phones lower, but not away. This was content too. Her sharp gaze scanned the scene. Jason's shirt stained, hair disheveled. Connor groaning on the floor. Bryce clutching his phone, eyes wide. And then Malik, calm, steady, standing tall with Sophia just behind him. Her jaw tightened. She didn't hesitate. She didn't ask questions. She jabbed a finger toward Malik. You. Office. Now. The cafeteria gasped. Some shouted what? Others exchanged looks. Even Connor's bruised face flickered with confusion. But Jason's smirk returned, small and poisonous. He attacked us, ma'am, Jason croaked, his voice weak but dripping with false innocence. He clutched his ribs dramatically. Look what he did to us. Yes. Bryce chimed in, eager to back him. He flipped Connor and shoved Jason into the wall. We all saw it. He waved his phone, but kept the recording screen hidden, not daring to show the truth. Sinclair nodded once, her mind made up before Malik even spoke. Violence will not be tolerated. You're suspended effective immediately. The words hit like a sledgehammer. Sophia's breath caught in her throat. No, she shouted, her voice breaking but fierce. He was defending me. Gasps rippled through the cafeteria. Sophia Whitmore never raised her voice, not once in her entire time at Crestwood. Her defiance now was electric. But Sinclair's expression didn't soften. If anything, her lips thinned further. Defending or not, young lady, rules are rules. Crestwood does not excuse violence. Jason almost laughed. He bent over, clutching his side as if in agony. She's right. Throw him out. He doesn't belong here. Malik's fists clenched, but he forced them open again, his grandfather's voice echoing in his head. Never fight for ego. Stand for truth. He stood straight, his voice calm though his heart thundered. I didn't attack anyone, he said. They attacked Sophia. I stood between them. Laughter bubbled from Jason, cruel and mocking. Oh, hear that? He's a hero now. The cafeteria buzzed with whispers. Some students nodded in agreement with Malik, their phones clenched tight. Others avoided his eyes, afraid to side against Crestwood's golden boy. But in the back, one girl stood slowly. Jasmine Rivera, a junior known more for her camera than her words. That's not what happened, Jasmine said, her voice shaking but growing stronger. She lifted her phone high. I recorded everything. The room froze. Sinclair's face drained of color, then darkened with fury. Put that phone away, Miss Rivera. This is not the time. But Jasmine's thumb tapped the screen. With a flick, her video cast itself onto the giant smartboard mounted on the cafeteria wall. The room erupted in gasps. The recording played in full. Jason shoving EJ's food tray to the ground. Connor snatching Malik's crutch. Bryce recording with glee. Jason's fists flying, Malik dodging, redirecting, never striking first. Connor flipping over his own bulk. Jason slamming into the wall from his own momentum. And Malik, steady, always shielding Sophia. Every sound, every shove, every sneer, captured and undeniable. The crowd went wild. Cheers mixed with gasps, claps thundered, and for the first time all year, Jason's face twisted in real panic. His hand shot out toward Bryce. Delete it. Delete it now. But it was too late. Phones everywhere replayed Jasmine's upload. Already it was spreading, screens lighting up with notifications. Jason's face paled. His kingdom was collapsing in real time. Connor groaned again, clutching his back. Bryce lowered his phone, realizing the tide had turned. Vice Principal Sinclair tried to regain control, her voice shaking. Enough. Everyone calm down. This is not a spectacle. But it was too late. The spectacle was already alive, breathing through every phone, every whisper, every scream of justice. Sophia wheeled herself forward, her voice trembling but louder than it had ever been. Malik didn't fight for himself. He stood for me. For once, someone didn't look away. Her eyes shone as she looked up at him. And I won't let anyone call that wrong. The cafeteria roared. Claps. Chants. Justice. 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 Jason stumbled backward, cornered by a wave he couldn't control. His pride shattered, his face drained of its power. For the first time, he wasn't the predator. He was prey. And Malik, standing calm in the center of it all, became something Crestwood Academy had never seen before. A symbol. But outside that cafeteria, another world was watching. Notifications buzzed through the city. Clips hit Instagram. TikTok edits spliced Malik's movements with epic soundtracks. Within an hour, hashtags were trending. And in a glass tower overlooking the skyline, Richard Whitmore, billionaire, father, businessman, saw his daughter on screen. Saw her trembling but strong, shielded by a boy no one had noticed until now. And his world shifted. Because this wasn't just another cafeteria fight. This was the moment that would tie Malik Johnson and Sophia Whitmore together forever. The viral clip didn't stay locked in Crestwood's cafeteria. By nightfall, it was everywhere. TikTok edits looped Malik's redirections in slow motion, spliced with captions. Discipline over arrogance. Instagram Reels blasted Sophia's trembling but fearless words. Twitter burned with hashtags. Hashtag stand for Sophia. Hashtag justice at Crestwood. Hashtag Malik the Shield. By morning, even local news anchors were replaying the footage on TV, voices heavy with awe. A disabled billionaire's daughter, humiliated by bullies at Crestwood Academy, was defended by a classmate whose skills stunned onlookers. But the real shock came in a boardroom 30 stories above the city. Richard Whitmore sat at the head of a glass table, 10 executives around him droning about a $2.4 billion merger. His phone buzzed once, twice, then a third time. Annoyed, he flipped it over. His assistant had forwarded the viral clip. At first, he almost ignored it. Another trending scandal. Until he saw the thumbnail. His daughter, his Sophia, her eyes wet, her crutch on the floor, Jason Miller's hand shoving her tray to the ground. Richard froze. His jaw tightened, his chest constricted. He tapped play. The room disappeared. The footage consumed him. Jason's shove. Connor's sneer. Bryce's recording. Sophia's whispered, "Thank you." Malik's shielded stance, steady, unyielding, protecting her with every breath. The billionaire's fingers curled against the polished wood table. His knuckles whitened. Executives faltered, exchanging nervous looks. The air thickened. Richard stood abruptly, his chair screeching back. His voice was low, dangerous. Cancel the rest of today's schedule. Now. Within the hour, his black Rolls-Royce Phantom purred into Crestwood Academy's circular drive. The school had seen wealthy parents before, but this arrival was different. Reporters already lined the sidewalks, cameras flashing, microphones raised. Mr. Whitmore, how do you respond to the viral video? Will Crestwood face charges? The billionaire didn't answer. His coat swept behind him like a storm cloud as he marched through the school doors. Inside, the air was thick with whispers. Students huddled in corners, phones buzzing nonstop. Teachers tried to restore order, but Crestwood was no longer a school. It was the epicenter of a scandal that had already shaken the city. Richard's stride was a weapon. Every heel strike echoed authority. He didn't slow until the cafeteria doors flung open again, just as they had the day before. This time, silence fell instantly. Malik stood near Sophia's table, calm as always. Jason sat hunched in the corner, his face pale, his bravado gone. Connor and Bryce avoided every eye, pretending their phones held salvation. Richard's eyes found Sophia first. His daughter, her hair pulled back, her face pale, but her gaze proud. For the first time in years, she wasn't invisible. She was seen, and by millions. He moved to her, kneeling so his towering frame met her at eye level. "Are you all right?" His voice cracked, breaking through decades of business-hardened armor. Sophia blinked, startled. Tears welled. "Dad." She didn't need to answer. The video already had. Richard stood. His gaze snapped to Malik. Their eyes locked, billionaire and boy. The man who owned skyscrapers, and the boy from a cracked dojo floor. For a moment, neither moved. Then Richard extended his hand. Malik hesitated, glancing at Sophia. Her nod was small, but certain. Malik took the hand. Richard's grip was iron, but not crushing. It was recognition. Respect. Then Richard turned to Jason. The golden boy of Crestwood shrank back instinctively. His friends fumbled with excuses, mumbling incoherent protests. But Richard's gaze pinned Jason like a spotlight. "You put your hands on my daughter," he said, his voice calm but colder than winter steel. "You mocked her. You humiliated her. And you thought there would be no consequence." Jason's lips trembled. "Yes, sir. It was just a misunderstanding." Silence. The word cracked like a gavel. Every phone lifted higher, every screen capturing this reckoning. Richard swept his gaze across the cafeteria, across Sinclair, who stood rigid in the doorway, her face pale. "Crestwood Academy will not decide this matter. I will. Jason Miller, your family's contracts with Whitmore Industries are terminated. Effective immediately." Gasps exploded. Jason's mouth fell open. His father's wealth, his shield, his pride, was tied to those contracts. Gone in a breath. Richard's voice grew sharper. "And you will apologize? Publicly. Not just to my daughter, but to every student you've demeaned in this school." Jason stammered. But. Richard stepped closer, his presence suffocating. I will ensure your family never walks into another boardroom again." Silence drowned the room. Jason's lips quivered, but he nodded, his pride bleeding out in front of everyone. Sinclair cleared her throat nervously. "Mr. Whitmore, surely we can handle this within school protocol." Richard turned, his eyes like fire. "School protocol? You allowed my daughter to be mocked, my son's defender to be punished, and bullies to reign unchecked. Consider this your final day as vice principal. Crestwood will have new leadership by tomorrow." Phones caught every word. The crowd erupted in disbelief, awe, cheers. For once, justice wasn't whispered. It was shouted. Richard turned back to Malik. "You defended Sophia when no one else did. That loyalty will not be forgotten. From this day forward, you're under my protection. Your education, your future, consider it secured." Malik's breath caught. His eyes widened. But Sophia's smile, small and trembling, told him this was only right. The billionaire placed a hand on his daughter's shoulder, then glanced once more at Jason. The golden boy sat broken, humiliated in the very cafeteria he once ruled. Richard's voice carried like thunder as he turned toward the exit. "Justice isn't bought with money. It's earned with courage. And yesterday, you all saw where real courage lives." The cafeteria erupted. Cheers. Applause. Students chanting not Jason's name, but Malik's. "Malik! Malik! Malik!" Phones streamed live to millions. Hashtags flared brighter than ever. And Crestwood Academy, once a kingdom of arrogance, became the stage where a boy with nothing had changed everything. The next morning, Crestwood Academy didn't feel like the same school. Reporters lined the gates, their cameras flashing at every Rolls-Royce, every luxury car pulling into the drive. Headlines screamed across every platform. "Billionaire's daughter humiliated. Boy defends her. Bully family loses everything." Jason Miller's name wasn't golden anymore. It was trending for all the wrong reasons. His father's face was plastered on business channels. Contracts terminated overnight, deals collapsing like dominoes. For the first time, the Miller family tasted disgrace. Inside Crestwood, whispers followed Jason like shadows. He no longer walked like a king. He walked hunched, broken, afraid of the very laughter he once fed on. Connor and Bryce avoided him, their loyalty vanishing the second his power cracked. But across the cafeteria, Malik and Sophia felt the opposite. Students who once sneered now nodded at them in respect. "Yo, Malik, that was crazy," one whispered wide-eyed. Another clapped him on the back. Sophia's classmates who once ignored her now offered to help with her books, not out of pity, but out of newfound recognition. For the first time in her life, Sophia wasn't invisible. She was seen. The viral video had made them more than students. They were symbols. Sophia, the girl mocked for her disability, now stood as proof of resilience. Malik, the boy overlooked, was now the shield who exposed Crestwood's arrogance. But not everyone cheered. Vice Principal Sinclair had been dismissed, but her bitterness lingered in her eyes as she packed her office. "Enjoy the spotlight while it lasts," she muttered, her words dripping like venom. "Cameras turn quick. They'll move on, and you'll be forgotten." Malik heard her, but didn't respond. His grandfather's words echoed in his chest. Never fight for ego. Fight for truth. This wasn't about cameras. It never was. Still, the cameras followed. Local news aired sit-down interviews with Sophia, her voice trembling as she described years of bullying in silence. She held Malik's hand on live TV, saying, "He gave me something no one else ever did, protection without pity." The footage lit a fire. Parents across the city demanded reforms at Crestwood. Meetings exploded. Emails flooded the principal's inbox. Protect our children. Punish bullies. Recognize courage. And Richard Whitmore wasn't done. Days later, he strode into Crestwood again, not with fury, but with purpose. This time, cameras trailed him willingly. He stood before the student body, Sophia and Malik at his side. "Courage," he began, his voice carrying through the hall, "isn't in wealth or status. It isn't in how fast you run or how loud you speak. Courage is in standing when no one else does." He placed a hand on Malik's shoulder. "This boy reminded me what it means to protect. And he reminded me of something I've been guilty of forgetting, that even in my wealth, I failed to see my daughter's pain." His eyes softened toward Sophia. But never again. The crowd erupted in applause, phones raised high. Richard announced a new initiative, the Whitmore Scholarship for Courage, funding education for students who stand against bullying and injustice. Malik would be its first recipient. Sophia squeezed his hand, tears spilling freely, her heart beating with something new, hope. Jason and his crew watched from the shadows, powerless. Their kingdom had crumbled, replaced by something stronger. But Malik knew the truth. This wasn't just about contracts or headlines. It was about Sophia finally raising her voice. It was about every kid in Crestwood who whispered, "Thank you," when no one was listening. It was about proving that strength doesn't always roar. Sometimes strength shields. The days turned to weeks, and the story spread beyond the city. Hashtags evolved into movements. Martial arts dojos quoted Malik's calm stances as examples of discipline. Disability advocates raised Sophia's story as proof that silence doesn't equal weakness. Even schools in other states replayed the clip as part of assemblies. This is what courage looks like. At night, Malik returned to the cracked dojo floor where his grandfather once stood. He bowed to the empty space, whispered, "I did it, Papa." I stood, and Sophia, in her room lined with books about constellations, repeated her mother's old words with a smile. "The stars don't care how fast you walk. They shine for you anyway." Now she believed it. Together, Malik and Sophia had turned a cafeteria into a battlefield, injustice into justice, cruelty into courage. And somewhere far above, in the glass tower where billions moved at the swipe of a pen, Richard Whitmore finally learned the lesson his money had never taught him. That true power doesn't come from wealth. It comes from standing for someone when no one else will. And that's a power Jason Miller would never understand. And that's how the boy everyone ignored and the girl everyone mocked turned a moment of cruelty into a legacy of courage. One cafeteria, one choice, and the entire city trembled. Malik stood tall. Sophia found her voice. And the bullies who thought they were kings learned what happens when true power walks in. But the question is, what would you have done if you were in that cafeteria? Would you have stood with them or stayed silent like the crowd? Drop your answer in the comments, hit that subscribe button, and turn on the bell, because the next story, it's even more shocking than this one.